Welcome back to Inside the Playbook Part 2 with Amy Sommerville. Let's not waste any time and let's get right into it. We have the first photo to show Amy. It's her in New South Wales Swifts kit, which was a dream for Amy playing for the New South Wales Swifts. 100%. Well, it's time for our first photo. Don't be scared.
Okay.
What is what do you think about when you see this photo?
Oh my goodness. Such a young little baby. I feel so old now looking at that. I think that was SSN, first year of SSN, and that was a really young team. So that was when Helen Housley came over and Sam Wallace. So we were such a young team, I think, and we kind of were just the underdogs. We wanted to go in and do the best we could. And I was lucky that I guess I was the incumbent shooter from for the last year, but knowing the experience from Helen and Sam to bring, you can learn so much of them. So yeah, I think that's kind of what reminds me of that. And I guess, yeah, I was just doing what I loved.
Yeah, and so you play a couple more games for the Swifts like throughout that year. You get to the end of 2017. What's next for you? What's kind of next on your path at that point?
Yeah, so I didn't get re-offered a 10 for Swifts, which is part of sport. And I guess looking back, I'm like, okay, that's fine. It's sport, it's professional. I then reached out to the Firebirds just to say, look, I'd love to see if you've got anything available. And at that time, they'd already filled up their list. They'd already signed 10 people. So they offered me a training partner position. So I made the move up to Brisbane. Pretty much, I couldn't say no because they had Gretel Tippett and Romelda Aiken. So I was like, that would be awesome to go up and learn off them, to try something new. So I made the move, and I was lucky that, not lucky, it was quite just unfortunate Mahalia Cassidy was injured at the time. So I was on a temporary replacement player. So that did help, I guess, with the move up, and to be involved in the program was, yeah, really exciting. And to reunite with Gabby Simpson. I grew up playing with her, so to be back, I guess, hanging around her was really nice to reconnect with some people and make new friends.
And so when you went up initially, did you say you were signed under a training partner deal and then it became a contract because of
Yeah.
Mahalia getting injured?
Yeah, so I was only went up as a training partner, and then Harles was on her return from ACL, so they were able to put someone in as a temporary replacement, and I was lucky enough to do everything as like a normal contracted athlete right up until she was ready to return to play. So I was very lucky that I was given that opportunity, and yeah, made life a little bit easier just in terms of where you were, because it is hard being a training partner because you're in limbo. You don't really know where you sit because you're across sometimes three teams. So that made it a little bit clearer for a while, and I think made the transition much easier.
Yeah, you touch on like a very interesting point there. Like if you're a training partner, you can be put across multiple different teams. What is that actually down to? Like I'm kind of curious about that. Is that in terms of just teams wanting to make sure their rosters are stacked with training partners? Is that due to financials? Like what does that come down to?
Yeah, so you sit as a training partner with like the Firebirds, and then you have the history of the ANL. So that's now what the future Firebirds is. So that's that competition. And ANL back then, I think it was maybe like an 8-week comp. I don't quote me on that. I can't remember how long it was, but you played weekly in and out. Which is more of like a fixture like what SSN would be now. So if you weren't on the bench for Firebirds, you would drop back into the ANL team, play in that, but you were training with ANL as well as Firebirds. And then your club team was kind of starting around at the same time. So you're kind of just trying to put on many different hats and bring your best self to every team that you could possibly do, which was sometimes hard because you're at one thing thinking about another thing. Okay, I'm letting them down, but I've got to do this because this is where you want to be. So yeah, it definitely is challenging as a training partner.
And I think something that gets spoken about, I guess, if you're in the netball know, you kind of understand that training partners often, unfortunately, don't get paid what they deserve to get paid. They do all the work and they training what 5-6 times like a week is something in around that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, the pay is quite low. I know it's definitely more than what when I was on a training partner contract. So that's nice that it's going up, but and it's hard. Like I guess as women, we're always like, okay, no, this is opportunity. We've got to do this. And I think we're so lucky with the people now, and we have been in the past that they're constantly pushing for better pay, better conditions, and sometimes, yeah, the training partners are the ones that need it the most because they're just working so hard to try and push into that spot and be ready if the team needs them. So I think that's part important as well. So if there is injuries, illnesses, the training partners are the ones that have to come in. So if we can prepare them as best we can, give them opportunities to, I guess, train as a part of the team alongside the team and not have to, I guess, work full time, which adds into an extra part of the challenge is could be an incredible thing for netball.
You said there that like the full-time work aspect, was that something that you had to go through? Like, did you have to work full-time as well as being a training partner?
Yeah, so even as like when I was with the Swifts, I was working full time. I had great bosses, so they would let me duck in and out when I needed to, which helped a lot. So even when I was on a full time contract, I was working. And then yeah, as a training partner, I was working full time as much as I could, taking out coaching just to get that extra money because whilst you can always rely on mum and dad, I think does become very you do feel bad. It's like, please, mum, can you please help me pay some groceries this week? But I think, yeah, you just had to work full time to be able to, yeah, do recover well, eat properly, all those things that come into it.
Because it's a huge load that you have as a professional athlete. You're not only you training full time and trying to like prepare the best way possible and fuel your body, make sure you feel right, all those things. But then on the side, you've got to also make sure that financially you're okay as well and you feel comfortable there because you don't want this side to then start affecting your professional career because then that could start to cascade or start to do other things as well.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that always comes down to is how you the off court stuff is sometimes just important as the on court stuff. And when I was working full time as a training partner, as again, I had such great people and bosses, employers around me that allowed me to do that. So they were very lenient with shifts and however I could and popping in and out. So that always makes a difference. But yeah, just be able to know that you can give everything you possibly can to being a professional athlete, I think is really important. And yes, having that support network is great, but I think, yeah, being able to be supported through finance stuff or even just um, little cooked meals here and there would be, yeah, a huge addition.
Feel like it's time for another photo, but I might actually
Okay.
I might throw you two photos actually because I feel like they're
Yeah.
pretty similar. I show Amy two photos. It's her for her Queensland Firebirds debut up against the Melbourne Vixens and her AIS teammate Joe Weston. Uh, they're actually up against the same opponent. So here's the first one.
Yes. Okay.
And then I feel like this is up against a good friend. Might be wrong, but there might be Joe.
Is that Joe?
That is Joe.
Yeah, so we lived at AIS together. So yeah, to be able to, I think for her, where the position she is in now, and she's just so intelligent and passionate about netball. So having her and knowing what she was like when we lived together at AIS, it's just this is exactly where she's meant to be, which is really cool. But yeah, those two photos were my first time playing for Firebirds. Actually, it was just a preseason game. Um, yeah, and we got to play out, run out. I think I don't actually know where we were playing, but yeah, it was fun to get up and finally get on court because playing the game is always the fun stuff. So just all the training stuff, yeah, it's fun too, but getting on court, running around is the best part.
And what was your experience like at the Firebirds? I feel like you've mentioned like Gabby Simpson there, and you've had a few other friends at the Firebirds. What was that experience like? I guess moving interstate as well, because that's also a big move, going from New South Wales to Queensland to continue your professional career. What was that experience like at the Firebirds?
Yeah, so the people there were so great. Like you had Tara Hinchcliffe, like Kim Jenner. There's so many great people. Laura Clemisha. I think all those athletes are just such great humans. And if you could have those people around to welcome you into I guess the family makes a huge, huge difference. It makes things so much easier. And especially being from New South, Origin time's always very interesting. Do you publicly say you're from Sydney? Like, what's the go with that? Gabby is a very she's loud about her blues supporting, which is good. Go, Gabby. I'm probably, if we win, you will hear about it. If we lose, I'm like, oh, that's fine. I didn't even know it was on, that kind of thing. Perfect timing. Don't need to be over the top about it. Just a little reminder that I'm from Sydney, actually. Didn't you know?
Yeah, whoopsie, just drop that in the conversation.
Just wear
And
blue
so,
that day, no other
yeah,
time.
100%, and just go to work and just rock your best blue, right?
Yes.
And so Mahalia then returns from her ACL injury, or she makes her return from the ACL. What what did that next period look like for you? Was there certainty there? Like, how did you then get next place in the team from that point?
Yeah, so I still had opportunity to sit on the bench for games here and there, which was really nice. And that comes from injury, illness, so if they need someone to come in. So I'd still got plenty of opportunity. Yeah, I think I didn't debut to Firebirds until actually I don't think it was my second year as a training partner. I actually don't remember. I think it was my second year. Um, yeah, so debuting for Firebirds, I eventually got that opportunity. It was against Vixens as well, which my first debut with Swifts was against Vixens, and then again for Firebirds, which I thought was a little weird and coincidental maybe. But yeah, so I was so grateful to have still given those opportunities and be a part of the program. And because any athlete will tell you that if you get a call to be a replacement player, if you take it, you absolutely go for it. I think my first time I was a replacement player was 2015 with the Swifts, and I remember on the way to the captain's run, I had a car crash. I didn't tell anyone. I would just kept going. I was like, no, I am not missing this. So it wasn't a bad car crash. It was fine. But I just like, I'm not missing this opportunity because, yeah, they're so hard to come by because everyone's vying for that position.
I mean, that's quite the captain's run story,
Yeah.
especially like the day before a game and then that happens. Like,
Yeah.
bit out of
No
the
one
blue,
still
right?
knows about that. That's actually the first time I've said it out loud. So there you go.
Wow, thank you very much. I'll keep that hidden in the archive somewhere.
Feel like enough time has passed. So
Surely, right? They'll know about it eventually.
yeah, it's fine.
It's sweet. And so you with the Firebirds, you stay in that team for a while. You play a couple of games and you continue along. How does it feel for an athlete? Because I think from a professional point of view, you often hear about the great success stories like 300 gamers or 150 game, like those types of stories are often like hero and trivialized in like a good way.
Yeah.
But then there's also another side to professional sport, which is you've got really good, successful players that are great at their craft, but due to injuries, timing, things like that, they don't get their chance or they don't get their spot in the limelight. I guess from your side, what was your experience like with that? Because you're clearly a very talented player, but it's hard to get those opportunities, right? To get into a team and crack that, I guess, that full-time spot.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head. Like timing is a really big part of it, and that sucks sometimes because you can't control timing. But for me, I think I was a very good bench player. I did everything I possibly could to be the best team person. And my first year as a contractor player with the Swifts 2016, I was voted players player. Barely played, barely took the court, but I knew that I had a role within that team. And we went on to play in the grand final, and it's not many people get to say they were part of an ANZ grand final. So I take that, still got the medal. So take that as a guess reward for everything that I was able to do across my career. But yeah, it is very hard sitting on the bench, and I guess I was kind of through the time where rolling subs didn't exist, so I guess there wasn't as much opportunity to get people on and off the court to give you more opportunity, and that's completely fine. That's part of the game, and you know that going into it that yeah, you might not play, you might have to do a whole heap of extra top ups, but through I guess through all of that, the people you're doing top ups alongside were some of the best players and are still playing now. So they found their way through, which is really cool. And for me, I was probably a bit older, and do they want to keep an older person around who's just been on the bench for a few years, which is fine. I would not change that for the world. Obviously, I'd love to play a little bit more, but I knew that was my role, and I got to live out a childhood dream as part of that as well. But yeah, it is tough being kind of that person that is not always the starter. They don't play many games, but I guess for any young athletes coming up, you still have a role if you are on the bench, and you can be the eyes for people on the court, give them tips, you can push them at training, and knowing one day you might get an opportunity to start. And I was lucky I was given a few opportunities to start and play full games. So yeah, it was obviously tough because you're like, oh, I want to get out there, and then you have to drop back and play A&L, or knowing that you want to be a part of that top team. But yeah, I think it grows you as a character and gives you this bit more perspective around what you want to do with sport, and I guess the off court skills and learnings it gives you can take into your everyday life.
Yeah, I think you touch on such a good point there because team culture is everything. If you're in the right place and you've got those right people around you, it makes your experience a lot easier. But those moments where you say the Swifts make a grand final, you're pivotal to making that happen as well because it's those extra 1%. Like you always hear it, the extra 1% at training, doing those little things that push the team forward is such a huge thing. So I feel like it's not understated. So you really give yourself a lot of credit for that because those are the people in the team that make the team what they are as well.
Yeah, exactly. In my first year at Swifts, like Katie Thwaite, Susan Prattley, Steph Wood, I was kind of the fourth shooter. So just be able to learn off them how they go about their business, their craft. I think you can take away so much from that as well. And probably for me, I was never like I was competitive, but I wasn't like ultra competitive. I have to win even just the fun game kind of stuff. So I pushed them. I learned so much. I guess learnings from me from that moment, I probably could have spoken up more because I was like, okay, no, I'm just the fourth shooter. So I did take learnings away from that, and I guess how I could move forward with my career as well.
I want to read you a quote here. It's from
Yeah.
your friend Gabby Simpson, and she said
Yes.
this in 2019 about you. But I'll just read this out, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings about it. She said, having grown up playing with Amy, one of her best attributes is her ability to stay calm under pressure. She has a really soothing presence on court, and she's a very smart player. She spends a lot of time making other players look really good around her. To to
Yeah.
hear something like that, how how does that make you feel?
Yeah, I didn't even know that quote existed. So that was nice to hear. Yeah, I think, and I guess that's kind of how I always knew my game was. I was very calm. Like I wasn't like a big I'm going to do everything kind of player. I knew where kind of defenders where I would try and set people up, and I guess sometimes that can be a detriment to you as well because you don't stand out sometimes at trials or things like that. But I was very good at that and knew that was my role within teams, how I could set up the people around me and be really smart. Never got to play the super shot, so that was a bit of a shame. But having those words from Gabs it's really incredible to have, and I've been friends with her for such a long time, and we do a lot of stuff together still now. So yeah, and having, I guess Gabby was vice captain of Diamond, she was captain of the Firebird, so someone of that caliber saying those things is always really nice. And I'll have to send her a message later to say thank you. She's like, what are you talking about?
Where's this one come from?
Yes. She's probably like, I don't mean that. No, Gabs is the best. I think, yeah, and that's part of netball. You make lifelong friends, and yeah, it gives you lots of tools and people we can lean on when you need to.
Yeah, and on lifelong friends as well, I think it's a really nice segue into you played your professional career, but you then start your own business, and it's called Net Plus, and it's about coaching netball, giving back to the sport that you gave so much to. I'd love to hear more from you about just the business itself, how it's going, and what's kind of involved with it.
I started it. I when my last year was training partner Firebirds. I think I stopped 2019 because I knew I couldn't keep doing it anymore if I wanted to maybe one day buy a house, things like that. So I knew that's kind of what I needed to do. So 2020, I finished up. COVID hit, ANL, everything kind of got cancelled, and I think I was always coaching, doing one-on-one sessions, doing workshops. So I knew that was kind of where I wanted to end up. So I just started it. I was so nervous. My sister posted it all for me because I think I have a bit of imposter syndrome. I'm like, oh, I can't be doing that. Like, what will people think? I'm that type of person. So my sister did it, and then it just kind of went from there. And I've been doing it, yeah, for a few years now, which has been really exciting. I think I just love being around netball because it's for me it's been such a safe space. So I can provide that for one person, then that's a win for me. And I've now started some stuff with Gab, so we worked together on a few things, and she's started a few little workshops as well. So we complement each other nicely in that type of space. So yeah, I love it. I love giving back. I do a lot of, so I'm head coach of, like, I guess it's the Redlands Coast Eagles Ruby team for the first year. So I'm learning a lot in that process. And then I've gone into, for this year as well, as assistant coach of the Queensland 17s. So I learned a lot there again. And I think, yeah, I enjoy coaching for now. And I guess we'll keep seeing what happens in the next couple of years. But yeah, part of the business is just trying to give back as best as I can, give them the tools that they might need to move through the netball pathway if that's what they want to do. Or for some, it's just learning new skills and being the best they can be.
So what's that experience like from being a professional player to then coaching the next generation, like your under 17s Queensland assistant coach? Like that's huge because you're bringing up the next generation of players. What does it? I guess what does it feel like? What is it like to see the game from a different perspective as a coach?
Yeah, it's definitely challenging because sometimes like I just want to run out there. Like I absolutely couldn't. My body would not handle it. But I think just being able to give them the smallest bit of detail and you just see their face light up and that, oh, that makes so much sense. So the smallest things, I guess, yeah, you just don't realize how much of an impact they have. And for me, I had to be very good at like basic skills, fundamental skills, because I wasn't very athletic. I couldn't jump very high. So that was my strength. And be able to remind people that sometimes if you can just have really good basic skills, that could be a game changer as well. But no, Nationals this year was down in Sydney. That was interesting, going down as a Sydney person wearing Queensland colours, which was we had like a legacy kind of function for the New South Wales Waratahs players. I just walk in my Queensland polo as nothing, it's all normal here. But I think, yeah, it's so much fun. Definitely more mentally draining as a coach. I guess as a player, you can kind of run around and get all your energy out. But as a coach, you're constantly on trying to think, okay, what can we do better? What worked really well? So that was probably the biggest difference that I've noticed.
It's one of those things like I'm sure as a player, you see things from your side. You're like, what can I do as my role to make the team better and go forward? But from your perspective, you're doing that for how many athletes are in the under 17s, like in the squad?
There was 12, so yeah, a few.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like you're
Yeah.
individually looking at those 12 players to try and improve them to get to a point where either they can be considered for by an SSN team or they can just continue along their path. Like that's challenging.
Yeah, and you want to do the best you can by every single athlete. And I think that's part of, I guess, the mental pressure. You're like, oh, have I done this right for them? Did I do that correctly? So, and I guess for me, as like I said before, questions, second guess everything, that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I think that's a lot of the pressure. And even just, this is going to sound really weird, but even just sitting as a coach on the sideline, you look at the game differently. And me being a goal shooter, goal attack, you looked at the ball coming down to you. So even just things like that, I'm like, oh, this looks so different from out here where I'm so used to seeing it come down the court. So that's actually made a huge like a weird difference for me, which it shouldn't, but it has.
Yeah, has there been something that from a coaching side, is there something that you've learnt that you didn't know before, like coaching the game of netball that you picked up later on?
I think obviously being an attacking player, you do all the specialist stuff as an attacker. So you do defense stuff, but even just you don't do a lot of like the set plays kind of stuff. So I've learned so much more in the defensive space, but on how to coach it. As a player, I knew how to break it, so that was completely fine. But I'm like, okay, how do we then actually coach? So how do defenders learn? Defenders are a weird bunch. No, how do they learn? How do they learn this stuff? So that's something that I've trying to take into my craft and try and be better as a coach is learning that defensive structure a little bit more and keep getting better at it and how to give them feedback.
I actually want to read you some stats from Net Plus that have become available just
Yeah.
in 2024 and just kind of go through because I think it's really impressive, like having your own business, giving back to the game of netball as well, and like you can actually put numbers to the impact, the positive impact you've had. You've had 200 one-on-one or small group sessions, 30 club association sessions, launched Thrive Academy with your friend Gabby Simpson. You ran your first regional clinic. you have a shooters club, and then you launched an online ebook. Like that in itself, to hear all those things and to, I guess, put uh, tangible numbers to all those things, how does that how does that make you feel knowing that that's that's your thing?
Yeah, it's actually crazy. So last year was my first year not playing netball, so I had a little bit more time to give back, which was really nice. Yeah, so being able to do one-on-one sessions, some of the girls that I've been coaching for 3, 4 years. So I've seen them kind of go through the pathway, make their first rep team, to tick off all their goals. So that's, I guess, a nice little reward as part of it. We've headed out to Nanango for 2 years in a row now. So Nanango's out west of Brisbane, I think. I still say I'm a Sydney person, even though I've been here for 8 years, but I think it's like west of Brisbane. We've been there for 2 years, and just being able to build that connection with those guys out there has been awesome. And we see them at state age, and we always just try and say hello. And they did so well this year at state age. We did a clinic with them in February, I think it was. So Gabs and I went out and worked with them, and just to see their growth and their confidence. Yeah, it's really rewarding, and you get so much out of it. But yeah, it's a lot of coaching, a lot of hours, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. You get to meet some great people, and netball brings people together most of the time. So we love that and being a part of it.
And we're coming to the end of the podcast, so I feel like it's kind of like a full circle moment here.
Yeah.
I feel like you kind of answered this already, but we'll go through it. I think I'd love to hear from your side, from having a professional playing career in netball. What was the biggest learning that you had in your career, or that you seen through the game of netball?
I think for me, I I guess there's so many times like I haven't like yes, I would have loved to play for the Diamonds, and for a long time when I wasn't doing that, I kind of saw my check. I was kind of failed at what I was my end goal. Like that was kind of what I wanted to achieve. But as I've gotten older, I played for the Swifts, I played for the Firebirds, I lived at the AIS, I went on to do so many cool things. So to know that that is a reward in itself and something you should be really proud of. So that's something I've had to learn. And I guess for me, the biggest thing I've taken away is celebrate the small wins, because there's so many people would have loved to be in my opportunity at the time. But I guess for me, I was always like, no, I've got to go here, I've got to go there. So recognize where you are in your journey and how far you have come. So that's something I've taken away from it.
I think that's a great point, because often, like, you join into a sport and you normally look for what's the highest point you can get to, which for netball is obviously a Diamonds player if you're an Australian player. But you have so many small, not even small wins, so many wins along the way. Like, you can say you're a Swifts player, you're a Firebirds player, you went to AI. Like, those are huge achievements in and of itself. So congratulations to you. I know it sounds kind of weird saying, but it's
Thank
something
you.
that you should be something like really proud of, because I feel like there's a lot of good netball players out there, but to get those achievements is something really special as well.
Yeah, and I think I still get a bit funny saying like, oh, I was a former Swift and a former Firebird, but I earned those numbers, and that's something I've learned as I've guess since I've retired. Actually, I was like, oh my gosh, I actually did do all that stuff. So, and then when I went and played in a former Firebirds comp I think it was in March, and it was just so fun to get back out there and with athletes that we hadn't played netball for quite some time, but we kind of shocked ourselves about how we did. But for me, I was able to connect with some other Firebird players that I'd never met before. So that was really nice. And just having that connection back, you always have that community to come back into, and someone you can relate to, because most of the time, some of those athletes have had the exact same journey as you. So yeah, it's nice.
And no one could ever take that number away from you. I think that's something that's so important as well. Like, you earned those numbers, like you said, and no one's ever going to be those individual numbers for the Swifts or for the Firebirds ever again.
Yeah, exactly. No, it is nice. It's nice. And I guess netball does this really well. I guess that community and that legacy that players do leave. Yeah, so having both those numbers, my Swift number is number 44, and then Firebirds is 94. So I think, I don't know if it's the fours are a weird number. Maybe that's my lucky number. But yeah, I've now learned to be proud about that.
Absolutely. And we've kind of come to the final question, but it's more of a throw to you. We always like to challenge a guest as to who we would like to next see on the podcast. So is there someone in particular you would like to see come on to Inside the Playbook in the future?
Yeah, so knowing you're a Sydney person, I think Paige Hadley or Helen Housby would be great guests to come along next for you.
I absolutely love that. That'd be
Like,
fantastic. I'll
please, yes.
hit them up in the DMs and just send a message along the way.
Yes. Amy said so, so you have to.
You have to, right? Like, just chuck it in there.
Yeah, it'd be rude not to.
100%. Well, Amy, I really, really appreciate your time. I think, firstly, thank you for following the podcast as well. Like, it's something that I truly appreciate, and starting this off to have a former player say that, like, following it and looking at it, like, I really do appreciate it. And thank you for your time as well, just coming onto the podcast and telling your story. I truly appreciate it.
No, thank you so much for having me, and I'm really excited to keep following your podcast along and seeing who else you get on there.
I really hope you enjoyed this podcast with Amy Sommerville. I came away from it learning so much about netball and just about Amy's journey in general. Amy, best of luck with Net Plus. I hope it goes really well, and I hope the Queensland coaching role goes very well, but not so well that you beat New South Wales. We will catch you on the next episode of Inside the Playbook. Thank you for tuning in.